Expo at Al Hotel.
The valedictory function will be held at Indian School Darcy on 9th of December, followed by the Career Expo at Al Falaj Hotel.
We are delighted to extend a warm welcome to one and all for AVENIR 2023, a forerunner in the career guidance event, which is meticulously organized by Indian School Darcy under the aegis of Board of Directors, Indian Schools in Oman. This invaluable event is a beacon of knowledge, resources, and expert guidance, carefully designed to illuminate the path towards future career choices. As we witness how education options are becoming increasingly intricate, making informed decision about one's career journey is ever challenging.
AVENIR 2023 seeks to address these challenges by offering a comprehensive platform filled with insights, information, and expert advice on various university courses and services. What's next?
A question that we ponder upon as we embrace ourselves to explore a sea of options that lie ahead of us. It's a question that opens the avenues for a plethora of opportunities in specific fields. When we embark on this journey of finding our true interests and pursuing our goals, AVENIR steps in, guiding and inspiring students as they prepare for change, transition, growth, and realization of their aspirations.
Dr. Shirish M. Gupte. Dr. Shirish M. Gupte, the speaker for the session, is here to give us a brand new perspective on new categories in the educational field. A spark of information is good enough to light up our future. Let's listen to the expert talks where students and parents alike can equip themselves with the insights shared so that they may make wise career decisions.
Dr. Shirish M. Gupte is a seasoned professional and entrepreneur with a rich background in various industries. As the founder director and CEO of Define Enterprises Private Limited, he has played a pivotal role in establishing an Indian defense contracting company with a global outreach. Dr. Shirish serves as the CEO and Managing Director of ICT Oman, promoting Indo-Oman cross-border investment and trade through ICT, providing investment opportunities for Indian companies and facilitating the growth capital of Indian SMEs from the GCC.
Dr. Shirish is actively involved in the cybersecurity sector as a director, advising on strategy and operations for Cyber Corporation Limited. Furthermore, in the Bin Tamam Group, Dr. Shirish oversees strategy, growth, and operations. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, both of you, for your kind introduction. I again, like you, thank ISD, Indian School Darsayat, and AVENIR 2023 for giving me this opportunity to do what I like doing the best, and which is talking to young people like you who are embarking on a voyage. And it is I feel it is our honor and responsibility to open the perspectives of this journey to you all, and to brief your parents as well, because they sometimes are as confused as I was more than a decade ago, and still am. But I try to find myself along with my two children who are my friends, philosophers, and guides. And incidentally, the presentation that I have shown you has been approved by somebody who's done pretty reasonably well for herself, and like you, was an Indian school student. Further on, went to Berkeley for her undergrad, and is presently following research at the Harvard Med School. So if she thinks that the presentation is okay to give to her, I guess it is okay to give to you all. So let me start by sharing the screen. My talk today is on STEAM, and I'm not going to blow much steam. You know what? All of you have heard of STEM in the past, and everybody talks of STEM. And STEM has been now graduated to steam. So without blowing much steam, let me go on to the actual details of it. So what is STEAM? Everybody knows science, technology, engineering, and maths. And what has happened in the recent past is arts has been added to it. So it's science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. That's STEAM. And you'll be surprised at what is commonly STEAM, which is water being boiled and resulting in steam, has the concepts of all of these 5 elements in it. Science, which is of the 3 phases of water being gaseous, liquid, and solid. Technology, converting the water molecules into its 3 states. Engineering, providing the actual vessels to do the same. Arts, which actually designs all these vessels. And maths, which is the complex thermodynamic equations. I've always found thermodynamics complex. So the complex thermodynamic equations which govern the 3 phases of water. So steam, which is what is commonly known as boiled water or vaporized water, is actually steam, which is science, technology, engineering, arts, and maths. And what has happened in this, and which is very good for all of you and all of us, is integrating concepts and practices of arts, using data visualization, art imagery. You can deepen one's understanding of science, math, and technology. And my presentation will actually highlight this integration, which is so important. You've heard of 3D printers, you've heard of infographics, you've heard of data analytics, and all of these concepts actually integrate all these things. I also take you to a very nice quote by an arts integration specialist who basically felt that integration of all these 5 concepts are acting points for guiding inquiry, dialogue, and critical thinking. And this is the basis of my presentation going forward. What I will start with is a real case study. Look at the following educational qualifications. You'd think it's very stereotyped. Technology, BTech, Chemical Engineering, IIT Bombay. Masters, Chemical Engineering, SUNY at Buffalo. PhD, Chemical Engineering, SUNY at Buffalo. Very, very stereotyped. And then suddenly, finance, PGDBM, or postgraduate diploma in business management from Symbiosis, which was a distance learning course. And then from technology to finance to public policies and social, economic, and foreign policies. A certificate course from the Harvard Kennedy School at Harvard University. Pretty, you can say, strange qualifications, but they all tie in and result in a very strange career path. The career path was of a project engineer, a researcher in academia, in corporate India, in manufacturing, in corporate overseas, in investments and projects, in investment banking, and in entrepreneurship. Again, a very, very diverse career path. So how does this all tie in? And how does this tie in to STEAM? So look at what happened in the career path. The project engineer was designing fuel cells and new fuels. This was way back in the 80s. This was immediately after graduation, after undergraduate. The 80s is when fuel cells was still nascent. And you had the science and technology which was being used to develop new fuels for fuel cells and actually fabricating a fuel cell. The arts, or what was actually visualization and construction of the fuel cell, involved in those days, in the mid-80s in India, low-level graphic interfaces, something which you would probably be doing in your first and second grade today. Then came the masters and PhD, theoretical computational modeling backed up by experiments. It was science. There was very little technology and engineering because we were developing new technology and developing the engineering concepts around it. But it was science, arts, and maths. Science for all the complex chemical and mathematical equations. Arts, and here's what it was, a very strange integration of arts and science and mathematics. We were looking at percolation theory, or looking at spreading of forest fires. And the way the forest fires spread is, if you visualize, it goes from one tree to the next tree. So we were talking of actual visual representation of forests and how a path of a fire will go through. And that is what we use to visualize densification of porous media. Here's where arts and here's science and maths combined with it. Then came manufacturing and then projects, where science was already developed. I mean, we were not doing any cutting edge. So we were using existing science and technology, but going into engineering, arts for visualization and mapping of fields and structures, and maths for financial projections. So the team of the STEAM came in. And then came the last bit of this career, which was investment banking and entrepreneurship, where you had to involve or inculcate the concepts of all five: science, technology, engineering, arts, and mathematics. So that's how STEAM was, you can say, backbone of this career path, which many of you would be embarking on today. So this is a real case study, and by now you might have guessed, this is a case study of yours truly, Dr. Shirish Gupte. I was a project engineer at IIT Bombay, where I was doing fuel cells. It was hydrogen and oxygen fuel cells. But those days, carrying hydrogen was not as easy as carrying hydrogen today. So we were actually generating hydrogen from cracking of methanol. So we were doing the experiments on both methanol cracking as well as the actual fuel cell. Then came the next phase of masters and PhD at SUNY Buffalo, where I was a researcher and a lecturer. I was involved in blow molding of plastics. I was involved in chemical vapor deposition, chemical vapor infiltration. And as a lecturer, I was actually teaching Fortran 4 and Fortran 77 to undergrads at SUNY at Buffalo. Fortran 4, Fortran 77, some of you might have just about heard of. I think it's pretty much a phased out language, but trust me, very robust. When it came to anything to do with engineering modeling and numerical methods, we would swear by Fortran 4 and Fortran 77. A small stint of entrepreneurship followed, which was in communication software in the early 90s. And wow, that was a bit ahead of our times. Communication was not so communicative in those days. Then came the corporate manufacturing phase in India. New projects, different projects, again involving technology, engineering, arts for visualizing all these things. I was into sericulture. I was into steam turbines, wind turbines, solar, into technology transfers. So there was a huge, there was a lot of interpersonal skills involved. There was a lot of communication involved in technology transfer and technology transfer agreements. So one had to be holistic. Our good old days, these concepts were new, but when you are dropped in an ocean or you're thrown into the deep end of a pool, you have to start swimming. You have to start integrating. You have to use your hands, your legs, start breathing. That's what STEAM is. Use all five concepts and move on. Then came the international corporate overseas, which again involved projects, again very diverse. Then came a stint in investment banking, which incidentally still continues. And that stint in investment banking led to the entrepreneurship in terms of defense manufacturing, where we actually propose new products, new projects. We come in with certain, you can say, out of the box thinking for certain concepts, and we are supplying to, firstly, to the Indian Armed Forces, and now we are diversifying overseas, going with the Make in India for the World program. Cyber security, which is today the next big thing. You're talking of modeling, you're talking of computers, you're talking of everything being done sitting at home. I'm online. My lecture can be hacked. I may be saying something, you may be hearing something else. Such a simple thing. Again, cybersecurity is now playing a very important role in all our lives. And all of this came out of investment banking, which I still continue. Investment banking is if you ask me, is a very loosely used word, phrase. I would call it creative banking. So the purpose of telling you this little story or running you through this case study was to paint a picture of the STEAM landscape in front of you. I want to take you through the standard paths and opportunities, because let me not overburden you at a very young age. You're all in your, I guess, 10th, 11th, and 12th. You're, trying to find yourself. And I don't want you to be lost in a maze, but I want to put that maze in front of you and show you the entry points and the exit points. The nice part of life is finding your own way through this maze. I also want to take you into this new era of integration and what is to be integrated. So while I'll run you through the standard STEAM pages, at the same time, I will try to put in certain new concepts which are integrated. I always keep saying this, and this is a byline which I have used for myself, for my family. And that is, there is one thing to be passionate about something, and it's another thing to find passion in what you're doing. And it's that second part which most of us have to deal with, which is to find passion in what you're doing. And the minute you find passion in what you're doing, you will find that you enjoy it. And once you start enjoying it, you'll soon realize that you're good at it. Remember those, I don't know how many of you have, unfortunately, there's not a very interactive session. So if it was live, it would be a lot more interactive. I'm sure, and you can put your questions, and they can be as diverse as you want. I'm sure a lot of you have seen Three Idiots. And I'm sure some of you at least remember Rancho. And it was Rancho's words which went saying, it's find passion in what you're doing and do what you're passionate in, and you'll be very good at it. And you will find that today's landscape is so diverse that you can fit in with what you like in various aspects of life and be a successful person with doing that. So now let me take you through some boring slides, but I'll try to make them interesting. Science. And it's like, oh, I'm sure at least 70% of you all would be following the science stream. It's standard. In my younger days, when I was in school and I was in my 10th, the only thing I was looking forward to was science. I mean, I was taught you had to be an engineer, you had to be a doctor, or, well, start your own garage and try to fiddle with cars, because I could change the tires of cars since I was like in my 6th standard. So, science for us was everything. And what's science? You've got the standard physics, chemistry, biology, PCB, and then you have a lot of other things which are starting to get added to science. which is science used in various different fields. You have microbiology, you've got biochemistry, you've got food science, you've got agriculture, you've got fisheries. I was so happy. I was there at your school yesterday, and in your in that flash mob, there was a chef. And in the slides coming up, I will tell you where the chef is so important in STEAM. And it's not just to cook soup, because the world is moving forward, and the chef plays an important role in your life, not just to feed you. So and interestingly enough, it was very good to hear the guest of honor, Dr. Fathan, allude to it. She's a finance professional, and I honestly, without sounding to be a very typical talk giver, it was a very impressive talk, and it was so nice that she alluded to the different aspects of arts, or what are referred to as arts, as being very important in today's world. Furthermore, in science, you've got medicine, allopathy, homeopathy, Ayurveda. Then allied to medicine is pharmacy, where you have pharmacology and pharmacognosy. You've got nursing, you've got physiotherapy. And in today's world, something which has become extremely important is mental health. All of us are just running. Running where? Question mark. And all of us have to take care of our own mental health. And so, or if we don't, someone else has to take care of our mental health. So mental health is also becoming a very important science. Technology. Of course, when it comes to technology, the standard reference is computer technology. Computer science, computer applications, artificial intelligence, machine learning, data analytics, with all things going online and payments going online and frauds coming up, you've got cyber security coming up. Space technology has always been a part of this whole story. Now, with defense in India entering into the private sector, defense technology is again a very important aspect of technology. We talk of pharmacy. We don't talk of pharmaceutical technology, which in itself is a very huge area. Pharmaceutical technology is what provides you and I the medicines, the actual tablets, the actual injections, the actual liquids which are required by medicine for us to get better. See how important it is. And what is being added to all this now is food technology. We are increasingly becoming a set of people who have stopped cooking at home. We are relying on ready-to-eat meals. We are relying on frozen meals. We are relying on all sorts of new technologies which preserve the taste of food the way you were used to when your mother makes it at home, or your grandmother used to make it, and just remove it from the box, dump it in the microwave, start eating. And food technology has a lot to do with it. And here again, I would refer to that chef who provides that first key to food technology, because it's what he does which the food technologist tries to preserve. The other aspect of food technology is more related to health and medicine, which is, are you and I eating the right food that we should be eating? By the time your hair becomes as gray as mine, sometimes my daughter tells me it's getting white and not green. The pepper is disappearing, it's only salt. You get all sorts of things like sugar and blood pressure and God knows what other pressure. And then you have to control your food. So the food technologist actually gives you your diet. He actually makes sure that you're eating the right thing. And yet you're getting enough protein, vitamins. Sometimes when I look at food on my plate, I don't see mutton or chicken or vegetables, I see vitamins and proteins and carbohydrates and fats. I try to not look at it and enjoy the food as it is. Engineering, my favorite, which makes all of this happen and put it in front of you, be it mechanical, electrical, chemical, aeronautical, civil, metallurgical, the standard stuff. Then the newer domains of the yesteryear, they're no longer newer domains of today. Materials, polymers, plastics, petroleum, biochemical, biomedical, architecture, which is now getting into urban engineering and all sorts of esoteric things. Agricultural engineering. No longer is agriculture just, a poor farmer with his, with his two jodi or, pair of bullocks and that little old thing with which, the wooden hoe with which he's tilling his fields. It's now moving onwards. If you see some of the equipment which is there on farms today, even in India, and I'm not talking of farming equipment in the rest of the world, I'm talking of farming equipment in India. And having worked in sericulture and agriculture a while back, I know what it was as late as in the 90s and what it is today. The kind of equipment which is available for agriculture today in India is phenomenal. It is state of the art. It's as good as what you get anywhere else in the world. The irrigation equipment which we have, absolutely fantastic. So, technology and engineering has entered into agriculture. Technology and engineering has entered into product design. And I'll take a moment to explain what I mean. Very easy to design a product, right? No, well, not so easy. But even harder is to make sure that that product can actually get manufactured and be brought onto the table at a price which is affordable. That's where the engineering aspect comes into the product design. So product design today doesn't only mean science and arts and maths and technology. It also means engineering, by which you're making sure that the product that you're designing can actually become a usable, useful product and at a price at which it can be sold. This is the newest in the stem, the A, which makes the stem from a tree become steam from water. And just to allude to a few things which integrate with STEM are fine arts and imagery, which help you design, which help you imagine, which help you put a perspective onto what you want to do in terms of technology and engineering. Graphic designing, which actually makes a product come alive on a computer screen before it actually becomes a reality in the real world. Interpersonal skills. Today, human engineering, which I'm going to come to a little later, is a huge part to play in your life. Communication. And it's not communication technology. Communication technology started from interpersonal skills. If you can't communicate with each other, it is very difficult to form a team to do an engineering or to solve an engineering or a technology problem. Cooking skills. Again, something which I actually added after seeing the flash mob yesterday and hearing the talk yesterday. And I completely forgot that, yeah, we've actually, been confronted with this. What can you cook which can go into a ready-to-eat meal, which can be served ready to eat at a height of 16,000 feet, where I can barely open my packet, put it on my plate and eat, barely have time to heat? That's the technology and engineering which will convert this cooking skill into a meal which can be served to a soldier on his plate. Same applies, 1,000 feet under the sea in a submarine, or when where you can't really light a fire and grill meat, but you want to eat cooked meat, grilled meat sometimes. when you're out at sea for 2 months, 3 months. How do you do it without lighting a fire? It is this cooking skills and food technology which makes this happen. And the base of it all, mathematics. Being an engineer, having done my master's and PhD in engineering, I am a strong proponent of mathematics. My belief, mathematics is the base, the root for everything. Physics and maths govern everything, including chemistry. I used to write long base chemistry equations for what is happening. And they used to be basically governed by physics and mathematics. Pure mathematics. Then comes to applied mathematics and statistics. And today in the financial field, you will be surprised at the number of physicists and mathematicians who are writing algorithms for the big hedge funds, the big funds which are doing trading, which is called algorithmic trading. And it is done on the bourses all across the world, and they're making phenomenal money for the investors. And they're all pure physicians and mathematicians. They have nothing to do with finance. But they are providing the algorithms which predict what is going to happen to finance in the future. In all this talk, I've alluded to the cross-functionality and integration. And I've got 2 more minutes, so I'm going to breeze through these next few slides. So what I'm trying to say is today it's all about integration. Pure and applied sciences and data analytics and coding. It's the application of technology which is there in all areas of science. There is engineering in all walks of science, technology, arts, and maths. There's imagery, fine arts, graphics design, 3D visualizations, simulations in the STE and the M. There's mathematical tools in the science, technology, engineering, and arts. You're doing 3D visualizations. They are based on mathematical equations. There's graphics design, and you've got a math engine running your computer program. You've got financial engineering involving technology and mathematics. Large supercomputers combined with mathematical equations or algorithms. You've got human engineering, which involves everything. Science in terms of human health, technology in terms of communication equipment, engineering, giving you those equipments, arts, interpersonal skills, and maths, which is the basic coding for the S and T and E. So this is the kind of cross-functionality which exists today. What does that mean in terms of educational qualifications? It's technical skill courses, diploma level courses, bachelor's level courses, and post-graduation. And these can be in different areas of life. So, and in different, you can say, faculties, because it's all about integration today. What is interesting and what is something which all the parents are very, very, concerned about is what does that mean to my pocket? Well, as we all know, India is the cheapest if you get into government colleges or through entrance, and it's one of the best in the world. I mean, we've got schools and universities and engineering schools and universities and medical colleges with the topmost in the world. It becomes moderately expensive in the private sector. But what is interesting is all the qualifications in India are acceptable for masters practically everywhere in the world. Then you look at Eastern Europe, which is slightly more expensive than India. But language is an issue, and also acceptability of the degree in other parts of the world sometimes becomes challenging. Then you have Western Europe and Australia. It's of course more expensive than India or Eastern Europe. When it comes to Australia, UK, Ireland, English is the language, so there's no language barrier. Other parts of Western Europe, you can have language is not you can, language is essential. And then you have US and Canada. Canada is almost as expensive as Australia, the US being the most expensive, but you have the ability to get scholarships even at an undergraduate level. So sometimes if you get a scholarship to a modest school in the US, it's as cheap as private education in India. Lastly, the opportunities. Pretty much the opportunities are the same in all. There's teaching, there's research, there's corporate and government in all 5 aspects. But what is the differentiator? When you are a bachelor's and you're doing research, you'll be a research assistant. Sometimes you get a very fat salary getting into an entrance into a corporate sector, but then you plateau very fast. Again, in the government sector, you have the opportunity, and the plateauing is less common in the government sector than in the corporate sector. When it comes to masters, you're teaching at colleges. Your research can be mid-level, sometimes higher level, but then you got to be lucky. But there is no glass ceiling in the corporate or government world when it comes to masters. When it goes to PhD, you are teaching at the highest level, you're researching at the highest level, but then in the corporate or government, you're restricted to certain institutions and certain jobs. So you got to choose what you like, what you would like to do, and then choose your path between bachelor's, master's, and PhD. But my advice, master's is at least a must. The reason being, the world today is cross-functional, and it's cross-specializations and multi-specialities, which means a master's is almost a must. It's a fast-changing world with cutting-edge technologies, and it is global in some areas, whereas it is confined in others. Lastly, what's my mantra? Education, education, education. You learn and you keep learning. I keep learning even today. My old IIT used to have this mantra, Jnanam Paramam Dhyam. Knowledge is the ultimate goal. We didn't really believe in it when we were in IIT. So I feel it pretty strange that I'm putting this on paper today. You have to be flexible because everything is about cross-functionality and integration. And finally, these 2 words is something with which you have to lead your life. You have to be consistent in what you do and what you say, and you have to have patience. There is no choice on that. With that, I leave the floor open to questions. Thank you.
That was a mind-blowing session, sir. Thank you. We are indeed delighted to have you with us today.
Thank you for the valuable information, sir. We have a few questions from our audience.
Please.
Sir, on a wider aspect, what are the career opportunities that STEAM offers by pursuing a course in cybersecurity?
Very interesting. It's the hot topic of the day, cybersecurity. So right from your, when you're running a secure operations center or a SOC, you have the red teams and the blue teams, the hackers and the anti-hackers. This is what you would say is the more media thing, everybody wants to hack and everybody wants to stop hacking. And that's the buzzword today. But yes, cybersecurity professionals are required in almost every aspect of your life. Be it banking, there's opportunities in banking. There's opportunities in government. There's opportunities in defense, in police, in the private sector, because a lot of things that you're doing today are online. And there's a lot of data exchanged today. And all this data exchange has to be protected by cybersecurity professionals. So yeah, the opportunities are in every sector, every sector.
Thank you, sir. Sir, I would like to know more about the career opportunities by choosing the domains like polymer and plastics and biochemical engineering.
Okay, interesting. Today, if you see The world is moving towards new materials. This is continuing. There's also another aspect which I keep saying in one of the fields that I am involved in defense. Rubber was, rubber is, rubber will be. It's a polymer, right? So you've got a lot of materials. You've got PET. It's a PET bottle, right? You've got equipment which is being made with lighter materials. And when it comes to lighter materials, polymers and plastics come into the picture. So if you're pursuing a career, if it is manufacturing alone, a bachelor's is sufficient. If you are pursuing and there are bachelors in polymers and plastics in many universities in India as well as overseas. I know, for example, back home in my own hometown of Pune, the Maharashtra Institute of Technology, the other MIT, offers a bachelor's degree in plastics or polymers. So yes, that's so polymers and plastics, again, huge thing. Bioengineering. Now, bioengineering, there are a couple of aspects of it. One is in the actual equipment, in terms of your X-rays, your all your medical equipment. The other aspect is in the various prosthetics that go into you. But more interestingly, which is something which I'd like to bring to the table here, bioengineering also means a lot of cross between actual medicine and medical science and engineering. For example, I know people, I knew people, and I was also involved in modeling blood flow through the human body. Or I know people who have been actually doing computational work on the brain. Again, this falls into bioengineering. Again, the various, what you would have to do to get into this is certainly post-graduation. At least a master's, if not a PhD. Master's would be good enough in the manufacturing field for equipment, and PhD would be in the research field in bioengineering.
Thank you, sir. And sir, could you mention about the main entrance examinations conducted by the Government of India to seek admission in science and technology and engineering courses such as architecture and product design, etc.?
So I am a little outdated, but I've tried to keep myself updated with what is going on. You've got the entrance exams for engineering in different states as well as the national level. Both are involved. Of course, the main one for engineering is the JEE, or the Joint Entrance Examination, which covers not only IITs, but it also covers, I think it today covers almost 30 or 40 schools. And I was just reading in the newspaper yesterday or today, there's almost 12.5 lakh applicants for the JEE this year. Similarly, you've got NEET for medicine, which is again a national level exam. Apart from the national level exams, there are state level exams for both engineering and math and medicine, but these are applicable only to people who have what you call residence or in those states. In architecture, again, you've got direct entrances in some of the schools. You've got state and national level exams in other. Specifics, not very up to date with it. At certain specifics, I know. JEE, I know. NEET, I know. There is, for management, again, there is post-graduation, which is the CAT, which is there. So, various entrance, and you have to be updated because these things keep evolving on a very regular basis.
Thank you, sir. The constructive views and information that you have shared with us today is quite beneficial, and we are sure that the students and parents had a fulfilling session. Dear audience, hope you had a fruitful time. Thank you for your cooperation. This is Meghanjana
And Mika Ship signing off.
on behalf of Indian School Darset for AVENIR 2023. Bye and have a great day.
Thank you.
Thank you.